Hey everyone, and welcome back to the summit, The Secrets of Women Who Win in Love. I'm your host, Megan, joined by life coach and relationship expert extraordinaire, Helena Hart. Hey Helena, how are you?
I'm great. Hi, Megan. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm really excited to jump in today.
Of course. So I have been looking at your website and you talk a lot about feminine attraction. And I just want you to define that because I don't know if I know 100% what that means.
Oh, great question. Yeah, I talk so much about feminine energy and feminine magnetism, and that's really the part of us that's about feeling, being in the moment, receiving, experiencing everything that's going on around you and within you often, like your emotions, and responding to a man, if we're talking about it in the context of relationships. Also, trusting and allowing and surrendering are all very feminine energy qualities. On the other hand, doing and thinking and analyzing and figuring things out are more masculine energy qualities. And we all have both masculine and feminine energy inside of us. They both play a really important role in our lives. But I really found that a lot of women are not in touch with this kind of feminine energy side of themselves. And that's where they can run into trouble in their love life.
So, okay, because that was really good information. I, as well as a lot of other women watching this, I'm sure, we overthink, we overanalyze. So you're saying this isn't necessarily the feminine quality that we want to exude. Is that
and of course, your masculine energy is fantastic in other areas of your life. Obviously, having the ability to analyze things and think about things and plan and figure things out works great in other areas of your life, not so great in your love life. If you tend to get up in your head and start overthinking things or get into obsession or overanalyzing a man, if you've ever done that, you can really feel how a man can kind of start to pull away once we get up into our heads like that. Yeah, so really important thing to become aware of.
So how do we not get in our heads? How do we channel that back and just sort of be like, okay, it is what it is?
Great question. Such a common thing. And by the way, I'm the classic overanalyzer, overthinker. Sometimes I find the smarter you are, the more driven and ambitious you are in other areas of your life, the more this thing is running this masculine energy. And like I said, it's really useful in other areas, can tend to sabotage you in your love life often. So a really kind of quick, easy tool is getting into your body, getting into your feelings. A lot of women have no idea what they're feeling in any given moment. And if it's hard to get in touch with that, a lot of women have problems when they're first starting out, especially. I always say, try a body sensation. Everyone watching can do this right now. See if there's some tightness in your shoulders or a knot in your stomach or something, some kind of body sensation that you drop into, and just put your attention there, because you can't be up in your head thinking and in your body focused on something that's going on internally at the same time.
Oh, that's so true. That's really good. Do you recommend meditation as well?
Oh, absolutely. I just released a program on meditation called the Feminine Empowerment System. That can be so beneficial. And I'm like the classic person who thinks that they don't meditate, right? And I hear that a lot. Right? You too? That's so funny.
So like, am I doing this right?
Yeah. So I've kind of figured out a way to do it that's good for us women who kind of have a problem getting out of our head sometimes. You can do this in any given moment. Imagine on a date or something, just catch yourself when you're overthinking, like, what's he thinking, or where's this relationship going, or did I say the right thing, or does he like me? Imagine taking all of those thoughts and just dropping them into your body and just having them anchor themselves into your body, so you feel kind of like heavier and weighted. And then it creates this space energetically for a man to come towards you. If you're able to go from up in your head to in your body, in your feminine energy, in the presence of a man, you will see him and feel him start to come closer. He'll instinctively feel this urge to come closer to you, even if he doesn't realize it. He'll just kind of physically, he will move closer to you.
So really, a man can sense when a woman is having all these thoughts, and in essence, it's pushing him away, even though we as women are trying our best to be like, am I being feminine enough? Am I being chatty enough? But really, they're like, they're sensing this, internalizing that we're doing. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Men are very sensitive to this vibe we're giving off. Like we might be on like a first date with a man or be hanging out with our guy, and we think we're connecting on all these levels, and really all he's picking up on is our level of tension. It's the whole thing, right? He's experiencing is our vibe. I remember practically like rehearsing my lines before, going out and spending time with a man that I was really into. And it's not the way to go about bringing him closer. It's this whole other way. He might not be able to put his finger on it, but when you lean back physically, another great way to get into your feminine energy. Lean back, get into your body, get out of your head. If he's the right man for you, he will instinctively want to come closer and he'll feel more connected to you. So it's not about being chatty and filling in all those awkward pauses in conversation. It's kind of the opposite. It's being comfortable with the silence, being comfortable just letting things simmer and bubble up between the two of you that don't necessarily have to do with words, if that makes sense.
Right. No, that does make sense. You also write a lot of blog posts, and I was reading some, and then some others I was like, wait, I want to ask her. I don't want to read this. So one title that you wrote, it was How to Trigger His Desire to Commit to You Forever. And I'm going to go after this interview and read that. But can you talk a little bit about that blog post, what inspired you to write it, and also a little bit of the juice that's in it?
Yeah, that's actually it's an excerpt from a program I have called The Art of Getting the Commitment You Want. And it goes along a little bit with what we just talked about. A lot of times we women think we need to talk about the relationship endlessly, right? Like we don't feel connected. So we go up in our heads, we initiate a conversation about the relationship with a man when we're coming from a place of insecurity or lack. And if anyone watching has ever tried that, you know that it usually doesn't get you the result you were hoping for. Typically just pushes him further away, causes him to want to back up and create some more distance between the two of you. Of course, it's fine to talk about the relationships sometimes, but it's all about where you're coming from. It's the way we instinctively go about it that can actually turn a man off and push him further away. So often you don't have to talk about the relationship as much as you think you do. A lot of times it's about creating really good feeling experiences with a man, one moment at a time, if that makes sense. Rather than talking about the relationship, it's more about creating it, creating intimacy, like a deep intimacy and connection and emotional bond, because that's what makes a man feel compelled to commit to you. It's that deep heart-to-heart connection. It's not just the physical and the mental connection. It's like a deep emotional bond and intimacy that he needs to feel.
The other thing that you said when we were chatting, you said really live in the moment with the guy, really create memories, go from moment to moment. And that resonated because I think oftentimes as women, we sit down with the guy and we're already like, okay, can I see the white dress? Can I see him at the end of the aisle? We're fast forwarding so far in the future when we've had dinner and been sitting there for 30 minutes. But it's important for us to kind of stop that flow and just take it a moment at a time. And that's how we're going to manifest the right one.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because I get that, right? I feel that we women can tend to get worked up about looking in the distance for the relationship, right? Like, how's this all going to play out 6 months or a year down the line? Am I going to get hurt? Where men are kind of more about the moment. They just want to kind of feel good right now in the moment. So what I've really found is that if you can just reverse that dynamic, right? And just play in the moment, have fun. Obviously you want to be looking out. If a guy says he doesn't want a committed relationship and that's what you want, you're not going to invest yourself and waste your time with a guy like that, right? But once, if you kind of like, let's say you met him online and you're both kind of looking for the same things, if you can kind of let go of that fast forwarding, and I know it can be difficult, we all do it as women, right? And just drill down, slow the tempo down of every moment so you can actually experience it while it's happening. That is what makes a man feel compelled to come closer, want to see you again, want to spend more time with you, and commit to you eventually, because it's kind of a rare woman who knows how to do that, right?
Yes. That's brilliant. I need to do that. I need to get out of my head. I need to stop thinking about the future and just really enjoy the date, the moment. So I'm definitely going to take that advice for sure. you also talked about in another blog post some common mistakes that we make as women that prevent us from attracting the one. And I know we just talked about a couple when we're overthinking, but what are some other things that we do that we can stop?
Oh,
And
that's such a great question. Yeah. Just off the top of my head, first one I kind of see a lot, and I certainly was there myself, is putting a man on a pedestal. You know, what tends to happen is women go out there, maybe they're online dating or they're just meeting men, and the men they attract are often not the ones they're attracted to. But then there's this one guy who they really like, and they can kind of put that guy on a pedestal. And when you do that, you can't really help it. You're going to want to like go after him even in small ways, even just trying to like prove yourself to him or win his love or show him what a great catch you are. All of that is masculine energy behavior. I call it going into convincing mode. So if you can, as much as you can, resist putting that man on a pedestal and see what he's got, right? Like let him kind of show you with his effort and his actions, not just his words, that he's serious and that he wants to move things forward before getting overly invested in him, but before you kind of know what's up, if that makes sense.
that definitely makes sense. That definitely makes sense. And I also love that you talk about some text messages, which I didn't read that blog post yet either. But how do we, when we're just starting off, when we have that guy that we're really interested in and we want to keep him engrossed and intrigued, what are some cool flirty texts that we can send right in the beginning that keeps the conversation going?
I love that question. That is so great. That's so great. So something, rather than just kind of giving you cut and paste, because, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but a template for texting and just communicating with him coming from your feminine energy. Because guys are going to always ask you the same kinds of things, right? Like, how are you? What are you up to? How was your day? What are you doing this weekend? Rather than just giving the same response every other woman is giving, like, oh, I'm fine. How are you? Or I went to work and I came home. Really get in touch with how you feel, right? How do you feel? Like, oh, it felt so great getting outside today. The fresh air just felt amazing on my skin. Or I'm feeling so relaxed coming home at the end of the day, just, hanging out on my couch. You're like painting a picture. Men are visual, right? Kind of painting a picture for him. And I know it sounds kind of subtle, but using that word feel it does a lot of things. It gets you into your feminine energy, and it kind of signals to a man like this is a feminine woman who's in touch with her feelings, and it really attracts him and makes him feel closer to you. It's also kind of an invitation for him to step into his masculine energy. So anytime a guy texts you, just have some feeling messages ready, some feminine energy responses. How did you feel when you are at work? How do you feel about your plans for the weekend? And see if you can kind of start communicating that way from your feminine energy. Is that helpful? Does that make sense the way I explained that?
And I love that. And I'm going to try that because I'm interested to see their response. But it's interesting to me, and maybe this is just me being not trying to be sexist, but I feel like men don't like when women share their feelings. So it's super interesting that you say painting a picture, because that puts it into a different perspective.
Yeah, I'm actually so glad you brought that up. It's a really common misconception that men hate emotions, or men don't like drama. They don't like listening to our feelings when we have some expectation attached. Like, well, I feel anxious, and the subtext is, so I need you to do something different so I don't feel this way, right? Or I felt insecure when you looked at that other woman. Yeah, that's not really sharing your feelings. That's not true vulnerability. That's like pushing your agenda onto him. So as long as you can keep it all about yourself and your own experience, oh, I'm feeling so sleepy, drifting off to sleep now. Totally fine, right? You're not asking a single thing from him. A lot of people take these feeling messages to mean like talking about the relationship and getting in there and talking about important stuff, but that's not where you should start, at least not at first. So for everyone watching, practice sharing your feelings about yourself, your own life, your own experience. Men actually love that. I talk to a lot of male, just men in general, male dating coaches who are they will feel mesmerized by you if you kind of learn how to share your feelings correctly.
I love that. I'm definitely going to take that into my own practice every day of texting. But the last question I want to ask is, when women do that feminine attraction and we do get in tune with our feelings, are men more apt to also be more feeling and emotional
You
when
know
we
what?
do?
Such an interesting question. A lot of women tell me, like, I see it in the comment sections of a lot of my videos on YouTube, and just, I hear this a lot from women is, oh, like my man started telling me how he's feeling, which, is a great thing. Men are kind of notorious for not wanting to be vulnerable or open up and confide in you. They don't really have those kinds of close relationships with their friends, their guy friends. So if you can to answer your question, what it does is when you are connected to your own heart, that's what drops a man down into his heart, and then you can connect. If you're up in your head trying to create some connection or stir something into creation, it's never going to work. Something I always say is the way to connect to a man's heart is always through your own heart first. It is just the only way. So that's how you do it, expressing yourself from that place and then seeing what he does. Does he want to take your feelings into account? Does he seem to care about honoring your boundaries and meeting your needs or not? That's really good information for you to have, right?
Oh, that's beautiful. You're very good with your words and helping me almost have a visual understanding. And I hope our viewers, I'm sure they have, do too. But okay, well, I know you have to go, but I want to know about your free gift.
Okay, this was great, by the way, and I'm sorry I'm so back to back today, but this was amazing. I loved your questions. Yeah, like this was you asked me some things that no one's ever asked me before, which is so awesome. I love being put on the spot like that. So that's my 3 keys to attract the man you want: report and audio training. So that's free on my website, helenahartcoaching.com. It goes, much deeper. My background's in psychology, right? So I have a master's in psychology. So it's not just about like, oh, this is how to do your makeup and wear this and you'll attract a guy. It's like really getting into your subconscious drives and tendencies. Like, do you tend to put men on a pedestal? Do you tend to want to prove yourself to them and convince them? Are you fast forwarding? Some of the things we talked about, but I go really in depth. It's a PDF report and audio training. So check that out. That will be helpful for you really no matter where you're at. If you're single, if you're in a relationship, it will help you either, attract that right man for you or bring your man closer than ever. So that's my 3 keys to attract the man you want.
I love that so much. And everyone watching, we will provide that link for you in the email as well as after this video. Helena, thank you so much for joining me today. It was such a pleasure. I've learned so much and I'm excited to practice these steps.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, this was a blast. I hope we can do it again soon. Thank you. And for everyone watching, I hope you got some new tips and ideas and tools out of this too.
Absolutely. All right, love. Take care. Talk to you later.